How to get a business loan without a struggle, get it very fast, and make it very smoothly. I'm going to also be going over some huge announcements in this live, as well as some updates, the outlook on the future of business funding, which I've been getting asked a lot and been answering those. Not with everyone, but I'm going to clear that up today. And just a whole workaround getting business funding the right ways so you don't end up having to trip, end up having to waste your days, your time, your energy, etc. All of that will be revealed into this live, as well as SBA idle news, what you should be doing to jump on top of that, and so much more. Now, let me know if you're tuning in right now with the hashtag live or on the replay. Give me a hashtag replay, please, or as we say, por favor. And I'm going to get things going right now. So, what is the huge announcement? You probably haven't heard, or maybe you have, but a new service is coming out soon. As of May 1st, 2022 should be the launch date around that time, but a service for 1099 gig workers. That is right. We're talking about the Uber drivers, the Lyft drivers, grocery delivery, etc. This will be available for you without having to supply a FICO credit score check, without having to supply a business checking account. That is right. You can use your personal checking account for it. And I'm going to get into that in a moment, but let me know how you guys are doing. Hi, Nicole. Good to see you. What a week it's been, too. I've been, doing a lot of things outside of my usual businesses. I've been up and down. As you might see right now that the sun is shining through. Usually the clouds would be in the way. I did not see what the weather forecast was for today, but it looks really nice out there. So I'll probably be enjoying a good afternoon, maybe go out on a walk. I know, I don't know if you guys are in touch with making sure you're staying healthy, both physically and mentally, spiritually, but in all these senses is what I have values in. And if you have the same thing and we share those things in common, it's been, something that I work on and something that I've been working on for many years. So for those of us out here who enjoy, the part about getting out, going for a walk, exercising, getting our shoes on, just doing anything we can to physically get up and about. I know sometimes we sit too much, but getting up and walking around and just enjoying the springtime, enjoying the summer that we are going to have, and just get out there, have fun with your family, and enjoy all the things we love to do. Has it? How so? And so what I'm going to jump right into is what I just said. For the 1099 gig workers, business funding will be available soon. I know it's something that somewhat is available, but because most don't have a business checking account and some other things set up, that they always get disqualified. So now, coming May 1st, 2022, as we're getting closer to there, I'll be letting you guys know when it's available and when it's launched, so you guys can go ahead and go get started on that application process, or I could just inform you on the specific details. I don't have all of it yet. There's still a little bit coming together each and every day that I'll be informed about, and I'll make sure I let you guys know. But it'll be very helpful now, especially when you don't have to supply your business checking account. Navy Federal, right? You can just use your personal banking account, and it's 100% automated. So all you have to do is just link your banking information. It is very safe and secure, by the way. I know I have a lot of people that still ask me, is this legitimate? And it is. Nowadays, everything online and the applications are usually automated. The reason being, and I just spoke to my underwriter just the other day on this even more, is we can't look at every profile manually. Just imagine the millions upon millions of people who go and submit applications every single year, let alone every single month. Do you understand how much work that would be for an underwriter to manually yes, they do the checkups, but this is why there's automation. There's these systems in place. And if you don't have a specific revenue, specific funding details, which I'm going to get into in a moment, aside from this subject, then it is very hard and it's very energy and time consuming and not a good way to allocate expenses or allocate the funds to be able to provide that. So very exciting news, guys. 1099 gig workers, you can get in there and get access to about 300 to 5,000, I want to say. It could change a bit here or there. If you guys heard about the Bank Breezy product, that's one just above it. And then above that, we have the up to 2 million. And then there's other ones like the line of credit or other services out there if you're looking for an SBA loan, if it does meet your needs, which I'm going to be getting into in a moment. I have my notes written down right here. But before I transition into the next part, if anybody has any questions on getting business funding, I know people are excited about that coming out. They're like, finally, there's a solution for me where I won't get shut down because I have a personal checking account that I'm using for business. They can just look at my bank statements this way, and that you don't have to supply a FICO credit score, no matter how bad that is or how good, well, excellent we're looking at. So that's an advantage. And this is going to it's going to break the market, because just imagine how many people have already gone to go and apply, but they've been disapproved because they are a 1099 and they just don't have the information that they need to supply when they go get funding on an application. So this will come back and I'll make it aware to you guys so you guys can go and get started, understand where to go and what to do and so forth. So that's very exciting news. Keep on the lookout for that. I'll keep updating you guys. Now, funding amount determinations. And I have over here on my tab. And I'm also going to be going into how to get the most funding in less time and what you should clean up to get ready. So that is similar. So what is it that determines whether you get the most amount of funding, what you get asked for, and not? So there's this whole misconception, and I've been getting it all day today. I just haven't been able to respond to everyone because I just got done putting in some questionnaires before this. So if you have not submitted a questionnaire, I'll leave that in the comments in a moment. Perhaps I'll leave it in the description. But it's a simple questionnaire you fill out. It comes into my email. I will then analyze, evaluate, and give you a proper response back on what you can qualify for. I haven't been able to get through all of them. I have loads of them to get through. I had a time block today from about, I want to say 10:30 to just about before this live to complete as many as I could. So I'll try to complete some after. After this, I'll go on to TikTok for a moment if you guys want to meet me there, and then we can talk a little bit more. Now, what are some of the determinations that goes into all of this? So I had an individual, actually a few of them, and they had an average monthly revenue of about 35 to 40,000. They were doing about 40,000 in their lowest month. And so you'd think, okay, this individual can qualify for about up to 75% of that to 200%, or in some cases 1.5, 150%. And so getting them the offer was not an easy task. One, because it is industry specific, and I'll say which industry it is. It's in the trucking industry. And so there are many other ones as well, but they weren't given the best offer. And being the reason that is, it's not only what I have to look at face value. So when I ask for you to fill out these simple funding details, that's absolutely confidential between you and I. That's just the first step. Whenever I give you a ballpark mathematical breakdown of what you can get, don't expect that to be concrete. Don't think that is set in stone. And I put those in those emails when you guys submit the questionnaires. That is a ballpark range. That can be adjusted. Now, why would it be adjusted? How can it get adjusted? That's what I'll get into now. What we have to look at, and I do this all the time with my team, once all this stuff gets submitted, I am able to look through bank statements myself, where I'm able to see what's happening in each step of the process. So just putting up your bank statements or just saying that I do this in revenue and that I can qualify for this amount, sure. However, if we thought we could get you about 85% of your lowest or your average is usually what we take is your average, by the way. So when I ask for what is your lowest month within the last 3 months, that's just part. Now, the other part of it is what is your average monthly revenue? That's what we usually make a huge determination on how much funding you can get. Up to 7, do you qualify for up to 75% to 200% or just to 75%? Nothing. So I have people who do maybe hundreds upon thousands in a month, and then I see their average is like 8 to 14K, and I'm like, how's that? And then come to realize that they didn't get all the funding that they wanted, and they didn't get close to it. They got maybe up to 75%, not even 75%, less than 50%. Maybe it was industry specific. But that is because of those averages too. So a better average, if you're doing usually 15,000 and above average revenue monthly, then that can qualify you for up to 75% to 200%. And again, in some cases, 150%. That's the determination. And if it's your lowest month, let's say you had a low month of, let's say you had a low month of 12,000, but you're averaging 15 to 19 or so, that still puts you in a category where you'll only be able to get up to 75% because of your lowest month. It's not 15,000 and above. Sure, your average says that, so we'll take that into account, perhaps getting you the most, but getting from 75 then to 200% is just kind of out of question. So again, we make a determination on the average monthly revenue primarily with the inclusion of having your lowest monthly revenue. So we look at the two numbers, and if they're fairly close, we can kind of take the lowest amount instead of always the average, and we kind of do that. But if they're kind of like way off, then we'll base things off of the average. If that makes sense. I don't want to confuse you guys. So for those of you who are going into an application and like, well, this is not what he told me, I'm giving you guys a ballpark range. And again, it's not set in stone. And the other part of that, and I'll get to answer some of your guys' questions in a moment. Thank you guys for leaving me comments. Daily deposits, daily bank balances, that can either help or hurt you substantially. I've seen people's bank statements. I've seen everything that comes through. And I go, well, they had this in monthly revenue was high enough. They had the monthly average amount, but their daily deposits or their daily balances, it just looks horrendous. It's not where it needs to be. The more deposits in a month, you can only have so many, about 20, right? If we're talking about working days, 5 by 4, 20, then the more, the better. That's what we would accept. So what industries we ask for can work with this? Well, you have retail, restaurants, right, that are taking daily deposits. We're looking at the daily balances, but there are a lot more industries. Those are just not the only two. There are a whole bunch of them. And this isn't the only exception for one specific service. This is just about everywhere, not only with cash advances. We're looking at business loans of other types. What are the daily balances that are in the account? What are those daily deposits looking like? The more, the better. What types of deposits? How much in quantity-wise, as in money-wise, is being deposited? So if you had, usually we like to see about over 3, usually 5 plus deposits per month, 4 plus, in that range, 3 to 5 plus. And sometimes it could be 7 plus, just depends on the lenders and the brokerage that you go through. But what we need to look at and see, how many is one part, okay, but then 2, how much quantity-wise. So if you're an individual, and I've seen this a lot in the trucking industry, and there's a huge reason why it's such a very high risk to fund people, specifically if you're trying to get a lump sum. Right now, I'm not talking about getting equipment financing / leasing to own. What happens is a lot of the deposits are like this. And then there's one day it's like that, and then another day like this, no daily deposits. It doesn't really help your case. And so that's a huge reason why you're not getting as much as you think you can get because of that. So I said again that I can give you guys a ballpark range, but I still have to go look through all of this stuff and make sure that the daily deposits, those daily balances, how they look, are they healthy enough? And then another part of this is your starting bank balance. I want to make sure that what I'm seeing when those are delivered to me or they're delivered into our system, that I'm seeing and how they're getting started. You're starting on a positive. It shouldn't, if it's low, it's fine. But if the higher, the better you're starting with. The deposit's kind of in the middle of that. And then you have the ending bank balance. If you're ending up in a negative, you're ending up just above that, you're only hanging up above waters. This is why it is so difficult for you to get the most or any kind of funding. And then after that, or in between all of that, what I'm looking at, I can see if there are any non-sufficient funds through the transaction reports and all of this happening. And so negative days, too many non-sufficient funds, you can only have so many. Low revenue months is a huge one. I've had multiple people today getting declined for. Sure, they have 15,000 and above and they qualify for a certain amount. However, you don't have sufficient revenue. And then those daily deposits, the bank balances that are showing, the types of withdrawals, transactions, if it's not clean enough, everyone, does not matter. This is not the wild, wild west. And I get people that come to me, well, I thought I would have had a better experience. That's not what this is. Sure, you can have much of a faster, much more of a simpler, possibly less of a harassed way if you're going through the right people like myself. But it's not the wild, wild west. Whoever is out there creating YouTube content telling, hey, 450 plus FICO, and I sometimes have this stuff, but I'm very thorough about how I explain these things. Sometimes I have a questionnaire, but not everybody is patient enough to sit there and like we got to be more patient about it. Hi, Prince. How are you doing? Yeah, that's good. How has all that been going? Have you depleted your funds yet, or let me see here. Of course you can. The difference is, Prince, and this is for everybody watching, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. I had seen it again. I said I would get to you guys in a moment, but that's awesome. Congrats on all of that. I've been following it. And yes, the difference is that when you get a lump sum, it doesn't directly correlate to a line of credit. You can get one with Fundbox. Did you know that we also have, with DAC, we have a line of credit program, Prince? I'm not sure if you were aware of that, or perhaps you didn't qualify for that. But aside from Biddy Advance, that with another kind of partnered company, we have a line of credit program now. And that's what I would recommend doing. Fundbox is a great one too. You may be limited. Would you qualify for a loan through Biddy Advance? Good question, Nicole. That being, I don't know, did you ever submit a questionnaire on my site for what you can get funding? I thought you did. I know we've spoken before. Sometimes I haven't been able to answer messages. I can't always get to everyone. I am very busy as well. So I do apologize sometimes if I haven't been able to answer. Like today, before this, I said I did a whole bunch of questionnaires and I still have more to do. But it just depends on, that brings me to my next point. So aside from, and I'll get to that in Nicole in a second. So recap on what I just said there. Before, I talked about 1099 gig workers, contractors, etc., being able to get business funding. Now, I can look through it, if anything. If it's the questionnaire you filled out, I can go back in there. You don't have to. And so we talked about 1099s, the funding amount determination, and there's still more on the back end. Nice. Yeah, if you'd like to, Prince, what happens is with Biddy Advance and David Allen Capital, it's like a partnership. It's a great connection. And since you're already in the system, I would recommend, if you qualified for this other service through us at David Allen Capital, and that's just one of many, right? I deal with a lot of direct, indirect, then that would be the way to go because you already have a connection there. And that also opens up more doors in the future. And I've seen people who go through a lump sum, they get a line of credit, perhaps it started at Biddy Advance. And then they're all working with similar lenders, and you're seen in that system underneath the same identity. And so that always gives you an advantage as opposed to having a line of credit here and then going to this company to do that. It's very sporadic. So that is a very pro tip right there. And there's more to go that goes behind that I'm not going to start getting into. but there are a lot of advantages. And so the funding amount determination, again, for everybody watching now on the live and in the replay, just understand that we will evaluate those daily bank balances, the deposits, how many are being deposited and how much. What does it look like, clean or not? What is the credit history profile telling us? Do you have enough payment history? Are you not making enough payments? Are you not taking enough? Are you not paying your bills on time? Credit utilization, debt to income ratio, right? There's so much. So whenever you guys get upset because there's not an offer or because I didn't exactly 100% get it in the range where it should be, there is an adjusted offer on top of that. But if your profile looks clean enough, then what I'm giving you a ballpark on can be just about in there. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's not until you guys go submit an application where you'll really understand what you can qualify for. And I just gave you guys some tips here on what we make that determination on. Usually your average monthly revenue. And we can take your lowest monthly revenue into account out of the last 3, sometimes 4 to 6, depending on who we go through. And that's what we will evaluate it on. So the cleaner your bank statements look, the better. If necessary, to provide your most recent filed tax return because you're requesting over 150,000, sometimes over 100K, then we'll do that. And if you qualify for that. And then we can also look at the year-to-date financials, anything over 150,000 usually, and profit and loss, balance sheets, etc. But it's very fast as opposed to, hey, let me go through the SBA idle. And that brings me to my next point. Let's see here. Oh, qualifying for the BIDI Advance. Sorry, Nicole. And for everybody else here watching. And this is a good thing you brought up. So in the past, it would be a 450 plus FICO would qualify you. And it still can, but you have to have better fundability details. So nowadays, what we're looking at is a 550 plus FICO credit score. It's been getting changed over the last few months, even more, because there's a direct impact with people who end up getting the funds and they end up going into collections. I don't want any of you getting into that situation, Prince, hopefully not, and that you're in the trucking industry. That the case with trucking, and I'm sure you've seen this in your own business, perhaps you've heard it everywhere else. I know this for a fact because I have friends and family, and I've specialized in this industry very well. I've seen so many people going in collections, people who cannot make the payments. They ask for deferments. It's unbelievable the amount of calls lenders, myself, will get, the underwriters here, and the eligibility. And then the fact that most of this industry, not saying yourself, but a lot of people, they end up going into what's called the data merge. They end up being in a system where lenders can calculate the future eligibility that you can get. And if you're on that system, usually means you cannot be eligible for any kind of funding in the specific industry because you caused financial fraud, altered your bank statements and showed them to a lender. That is very bad. There have been cases where I've been able to cash this myself when I see the starting deposits, ending bank balances, and more stuff into the account, especially when people, it's not fraudulent, but when I see applications coming through like today and just the other day, I had individuals start an app, say they were doing this in revenue, they didn't qualify for 15,000 and above to get 75% of that up to 200%. So don't be sneaky. And then they started their application again. Perhaps they didn't get it right the first time. There are reasons outside of that too. However, I saw certain individuals coming back again, starting the application, and they're like, oh, I didn't qualify the first time for this. Maybe I'll select a different number and I'll qualify or I'll probably get more. And they just don't end up getting pushed through. And so we have systems. I have my own systems that when they detect that you put a certain amount in lower monthly revenue and your average amount, don't think you're going to get by with that. That just doesn't happen. And I get a lot of people from that. They will end up starting to alter their bank statements. And there are some things you have to like very much get so deep into. I've seen it once where like there was a period instead of a comma. Literally, you had to like zoom in 100,000%. Not even exaggerating. No payday loan. So some of these are considered payday loans. And with the 589 FICO credit score, Nicole, it gets you really limited. Sure, there are unsecured, perhaps a secured term loan. But even at a 589, that is like, it's not helping the case. But there are options out there. Like the SBA idle loans are, I mean, you can't start a new application now. However, you have the SBA 7As, but those won't work because you don't have sufficient FICO for perhaps the business credit side. And then time, revenue, we have to look at all of that again. And then the online banking loan solutions, there's invoice financing, invoice factoring, accounts receivable, giving up receipts or invoices used as collateral in exchange for getting funds, and you can get lower interest. But it's a question of, do you want to have all that? And then two, would you want to forego that? What's the opportunity cost in your business of doing that? So it's not always in your, it's not, like I said this the other day, you don't quote unquote deserve. It's what you actually get presented with in a lot of cases. So again, 550 FICO and above usually is what we want to see, with at least 5,000 plus in monthly revenue. Lowest with your average monthly revenue, hopefully at least 5,000 and above. And I've seen cases where it's not. Sometimes I see 1K to 4K. I've seen 5,000 as their lowest monthly revenue. That can't qualify them, and sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, it won't. But if it's a 5K plus average, that's much better, and it gives you a better chance of qualifying. But we also have to look at, again, the credit history and a few other bits of details to see what you can legitimately finally qualify for. And credit is usually pulled after you're given, you put your business information in. So grants to qualify for, I'll try to leave some of that in the description when this, I haven't put the description of this video together, so I usually do that after. But there are some out there. And I was going to get to that towards the end of this video. So if you want to stick around, I don't want to just jump from one spot to the next. So the 550 FICO, that's what we spoke about, the amount of deposits. The SBA idle amount, about 10 billion is remaining or so, and we're getting close to the end. April 15th, the 16th is when the whole funds will be depleted. So a lot, about $1 billion each and every day is being dispersed. So you can only imagine how many businesses are getting that. And a lot of people max out at getting about 150,000. They come back, they request an increase. I have certain individuals right now who I helped give them templates, and I structured their body of the message, the headline, and I showed them alternative emails to go and apply or go send that email to, get a hold of people through a certain number, how to go through their KWeb, their back portal, SBA idle portal, and what they should do to go request an increase if it isn't there, and so much more. So that's what you should know. There's not so much more going on at the moment, although there are SBA alternatives, which is the subject I want to touch upon. Idle versus private loans. All right. And then in the middle, you have SBA 7As, lines of credit programs, the SBA 7As, 504/CDC programs. But what I want to start with is the SBA idle and private loans through alternative lenders. This is a very important subject. I really want you to listen and take a breath if you need, because this is going to be almost like a roller coaster for you. If you have not heard before, I've said this time and time again, that idle loans, primary use of funds, survival money. Secondary, growth and expansion. I'm not even kidding you. I have access to determining how that looks like, the percentage, the whole pie chart, the graphs. I see all of that. And so primary use of funds, over 50%, or I want to say generally over 55% of the people who needed funding was due to survival, COVID relief, payroll, debt consolidation, paying your bills, and so forth, and just recovering from COVID. But there are a lot of other extremities with inflation, everything happening. We're just getting to the other side with COVID, the restrictions and everything. But that's very telling. If you're that individual over here, and I spoke to so many people today, like I haven't responded to everyone, and then yesterday even more, who are like, is SBA idle loans available? The application is not, but only for reconsideration. And I wouldn't wait too long, as I said, the deadline to get those funds. But what people do is they ask me, what is the alternative? And they'll go, I would like to get, I got 100, if they got an idle loan, they're like, I got 300,000. I'm looking for another 150,000. Can you help me with that? And I go, sure, I can, but I have to level with you and give you the expectations. Most people think that what they got over here, and if you even didn't get anything with the idle loan, that should be exactly what I'm getting over here. That is completely false, a false narrative. I wouldn't say 100%, but what happens is you're going into the idle loans, and this is why I, in a way, hate the idle loan, to be honest with you, is because it's programmed so many of us. And it's not your fault because you haven't been well educated over here to understand that there are these alternative private lenders you can get funding for. But what you have to understand is over here, this isn't so much of a survival money. This is more of a growth and expansion. Sure, a percentage of it can go towards survival, and it can go all towards survival if your business is stable, if it's increasing profits, if it's not having the cash flow problems, or if it hasn't had it yet. But because you took that payroll money, you're going to be suffering. Your business, the repayment is going to be just too high for you to ever justify that. So every single day, I have people, Michael, can you help me? Can you do this? Can I do that? And I have to show to you the reality of the idle loans, the grants over here, PPP funding, the employee retention credit, which is not a loan. And then when people will go over here, it's a huge wake-up call. And it's like, oh, well, you're telling me I'm getting these interest rates. I'm getting these rates, these total paybacks, factor rates. The thing is, one, what do you qualify for? If you even qualified for SBA loans outside of the idle, well, that's not always the best. We have to look to see what these are and see maybe this is better. It's not always the SBA, SBA, SBA. It's like we've been so programmed from other YouTubers, from people who are like, yeah, the idle loans are the best, the SBA loans, and what you hear there is what you think is everywhere else. And that is not the case. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. I've helped out so many business owners just recently who took the funding. They have had like a repayment. It depends on the funding details, but like some lately having to pay over 10,000, but they're doing over 100,000. So be it. They're like, yeah, we don't ever give you an offer you won't be able to handle. You're paying over 10,000 a month. You get that done in about 12 to 13 months or so, as opposed to having it for 2+ years, perhaps a higher interest. You just drop the interest rate a little bit, but you're paying more on the interest as opposed to the principal. That would save you a whole bunch of headaches. And I've seen it so many times, so many people going into debt negatively, thinking it is positive debt. And then about 2 to 3 years down the road, they're like, I wish I would have taken that shorter term loan from 12 to 24 months if I qualified for that, or even less than that. And they paid it off. A lady right now currently is paying off in 18 months. She hasn't gone through half of it, but she qualified. She was doing over 300, over 400,000 in monthly revenue, and took a short-term loan because she qualified for 12 to 18 months, had a very clean profile. Her deposits that we looked at, her daily bank balances, all of this, her FICO, she's an A-paper lending client. And so she said, yeah, I just need the funds really fast. I got to use it. I have no time to wait. I got to do this now. I don't think I'll qualify 100% for the SBA 7As, but this is what I want. Let me actually take 150,000 so I don't have to supply extra documentation, right? Over 150,000. And so she'll, likely come back, get more funds. But this is the way that you operate. She understood the mission. She understood I'm using this for growth and expansion. And I know there's some survival things I got to use here too, but I'm not going to put myself in bad debt. And so that's not the logic that we can't think about this being bad. It's only bad debt if you don't really understand what you're using it for. If there's a bigger problem behind that, and you're not using it to its full potential, and it's actually hurting your cash flow, then that's who would be, responsible for that. Partially myself, because I'm not leading you the right way, which I don't do. But a lot of it, I don't want to say it's on your shoulders, but you only know your business well. You only know your cash flow on a daily basis. You only know the balances. Like I take care of mine that way. I only know my own. So ultimately, it's not like you should never do it. It's just you should understand what the benefit is. Does the benefit exceed your repayment? Like Prince, I'm sure you knew this, right? If you're still here, hey, I know what the benefit of using these funds. They exceed the repayment. Sure, you might have gone something a little bit more out there that than anywhere else. Perhaps the idle loans, perhaps you didn't qualify for another situation. But I'm sure you and many people before who have already gone funding through myself and anywhere else, they understood that the benefit exceeds my repayment. I'm going to get a restaurant funding and I'm going to get a new patio set that's going to give me an extra 20 to 30,000 a month. All right. I had explained that to an individual the other day myself. I said, I'm not sure you want to take this because the repayment will probably be a little bit too high for you. Oh, well, okay. In about a month's time, your ROI will be about 10 to 20. Okay. They knew to the very bottom what they were using that funding for, and they knew their ROI. They knew their conversions. They knew their business so well. They knew what the return on an investment of or the long-term value of a customer that they would have brought in, a new customer versus a returning customer. So that would have increased their bottom line. Now, I'm asking the same question for many of you here. What is the primary use of your funds? And you guys can let me know in the comment section if you feel free to do that. Perhaps you already let me know in the questionnaire, which again, I'm still in the process of doing a lot of them. I'm going to try to let this go for a little bit, hopefully before 45 minutes. And so you guys can go on your ways, and I'll go over the TikTok soon. So I covered the amount of deposits of 550 FICO. If you're doing 5,000 and if you're doing 5,000 and above, but less than 15,000, 550 FICO is what we really want to make a determination on. However, if you're doing 15,000 and above, a 500 plus FICO credit score is sufficient. But on the topic, anything underneath a 600, I get it all the time. Everybody complains because they don't get the funds, the cash flow. There's always a battle. It's like what I read in Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power, and a few other things. I won't get into the specifics of it, but the Navy battleship and within the story, how they were trying to retaliate and they were trying to make peace with the Army on this side of town. And they were just bombing away, just thinking that when they destroyed that little island, that little part of their town, that they wouldn't be able to come back and hit them. And little did they know, that's what ended up happening. The army that was much stronger over here on land came over here to destroy and came back and said, you know what? I'm going to go forward. And so like a business owner, you have to understand what your positioning is. Do you fall far to the left as in the Navy? You're just trying to bomb away from the ocean, not trying to get anywhere close to the battle. You're just going to see whatever happens. You're just going to throw things out there. Or are you going to be this very strong army on the right side of the equation where you're a fine soldier, maybe you're not, but you're working on it. And you're moving across lines. You don't care how close you get to them. You just know you have the advantage. You're much stronger. You have higher quantity. You understand the terrain well enough. You understand what you're going to do once you get to that part. And you're going to say, hey, I'm going to put myself 100% in this, and I'm going to make things better. So what I mean by this is those of you who have a less than a 600 FICO credit score, I hear it every day. I had an individual the other day who did not take the funding because there was and this happened multiple times. So they couldn't get the original offer because the cash flow or there was just too much of a repayment, which is understandable. But don't just stop there. That's why I need feedback. If I get feedback and I hear, oh, well, you couldn't take the $25,000 to $30,000 offer because of the repayment being a little too high and you're hitting a every month and you know what it'll happen. Again, we never give you something you can't handle. But if that's the case and you really understood your business and that's what I'm saying, and you really understood your business. I'm not saying that you think you know. It's now you think. Like you got to look back at your accounting, you got to go look back at the organization, and you have to really sit down and understand the numbers before you take funding. So you're well prepared. So you're not in the situation when you get an offer, you're like, well, no, it's why did you apply before? If you didn't understand that, you have to make sure. And so what I'm saying, and I'm further explaining on that subject, is anything usually underneath a 600 FICO credit score, I get so much backlash, and I don't necessarily not want to hear it. I just don't want to spend a lot of energy and my time. I'm sure you don't want to, do you? Like if I asked you, do you want to spend a lot of time on a profile that is one, not going to take the funding because the first offer, let's say for example, 30,000 because of the repayment being too high. So we adjusted and I said, hey, if that's too much, I'll speak with my underwriters. I can go speak with my lenders and I'll say, hey, can we do instead maybe 16,000, 17,000? And they go, yeah, we can do that. 15,000 I would have said before, but nowadays we cannot readjust to 15,000. Reason being that you are going to get a higher rate, and it usually increases it by 4 to 5 plus points, and that means the rate. So at 15,000, you're not eligible for the same rate. It could raise your rate, and it can even raise your repayment. Maybe not as much as the 30,000 if we cut that in half, but we want to go away from 15,000 nowadays and get at least 16,000. For example, if again you qualified for 30,000, but you said, do I really need to use this all up at once? And then two, but primarily it's the repayment. And then two, do I really need to use all these funds up at once? And if that's a no, then we can look back and say, hey, can we set back and do 16,000 at a minimum? Not 15,000 right now, because again, 15,000, that will then increase your rates. And you'll probably put in a category where it's higher, way higher. And so at 16,000, and so looking at these readjustments in the numbers now that I'm putting out, and then I'm speaking with my underwriters and lenders, and we're all like evaluating the situation. And I'm seeing that an additional 2,000 from the 16,000 to the 15,000, that's what it would have looked like with the closing lender costs. Sometimes it's like 300 to 100, 1,500, sometimes even more. But a lending closing cost of about 1,200, and now instead of paying 6,000 per month, they're paying about 8,000 plus in that interest. Now, if you're fighting over, I get 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, even if we go even higher, it's a lot more. However, if we're battling over a $500 difference, over a $1,000 difference, and I'll even put that category in 2,000, and there's some circumstances, not all. What does that say? If revenue is not the differentiator, then what is? If you said FICO, you are correct. Your FICO credit score needs to be in check. It really needs to be improved. And I'll leave content for that down below in the description. I came out with a video on that. Make sure you take some time to thoroughly go through it, as well as building your business credit is so instrumental. I've had to shut down so many people today for like an SBA and an online banking loan solution because they don't have business credit built. Prince have some reserve funds if I need it. Nice. So hearing that tells me you understand your business well enough. You understand how it functions, how not only it functions, but two, where you're putting those funds in, where you're maybe not putting those funds in, and where you can allocate those. And you understand the performance of when you put this money in, what it'll bring out. Maybe not 100% because maybe you're in a testing phase and you're trying to understand and you're trying to experiment. I wouldn't say 100% experiment. You should know what you're using the funds for. Because if you're just trying to experiment like on a new product that you don't understand the ROI, you don't understand the industry, you don't understand all of it. And this is stuff that I do in my own businesses. I'm a digital marketing strategist as well. I have an affiliate marketing business. I have a partial now a digital marketing agency, not as heavy as it used to be. I've started a lot of things in the health space. So I have health related stuff that I do, and then in other areas. So I know exactly what you guys go through every single day. I'm not just a reception person behind the screen. I'm not working for a Fortune 500, 5,000 company. I work from home. So it's a one-man team right now. And that's why sometimes if I don't respond to those questionnaires, it takes a little bit of time. So yes, you're welcome, Nicole. So I'll try to put those grants in the description when this is done. What I'm going to do very quickly, I'm going to transition to the next topic. I know we're kind of getting over time now. But if you guys stick around with me, I'm also going to show you guys what you guys should do after you fill out this questionnaire. It's very, very important. I have a lot of people asking me, like, oh, yeah, I saw the thank you page, but I'm not sure what to do. So you can't see me. I'm right now opening up, you can see me, but I'm opening up a new tab right now. And in that meantime, the outlook on business funding, I'd see it looking better. It's going to only improve. As I just said, 1099 funding coming out soon. That is a huge, huge topic. And that service is just going to make explosions after explosions. What I'm seeing though is the qualifications just becoming a little bit more higher. And that can be good, that can be bad. Like I said, the 450 to 550. And then there's some other things that are more industry specific that I can go into every industry. I can't do it all industries. But just understanding revenue wise, understanding that what we make a determination on are your bank statements. It could be your tax returns if those are asked for. But all of this stuff just makes it where we have to understand what you qualify for. So I'm going to go ahead and go in through, let's see here. I talked about SBA idle versus private money loans, the 1099s, the amount of deposits, the 550 FICO credit score, what I do when I'm looking through bank statements. So some of the, okay, that's one. So I'm looking at my notes here, making sure I have it all. So one of the grants we can look at is the Ifund Women Entrepreneur Grant. That one's been out for some time now. So Nicole, if you're still here watching, that can be one you can approach. And that should be in my grant section. Again, it should be in the description. I won't go into further details on that just because I want to get through this list. And then we have the Skip 10K grant. That's another one to look at. And it comes up from time to time. And so that's one to look out for. And I'll leave more information of that down below in the description. But you can get up to 10,000. And it can change. It might not be a full 10,000. It may be 2,500 here, 5,000 there, specific to each individual. So now we're at the end. Let me go through my questionnaire. I'm going to bring you guys onto the share screen. And again, everything will be on the description box down below this in time if it's not right now. I did update it a long time ago. I just didn't for a different video. One moment. And I'll answer that question in just a moment, Prince. All right, here we are. So determinations are made on different credit bureaus. It depends on the funding program, like Biddy Advance, and then most of the cash advance programs don't report to the main credit bureau, that being done in Bradstreet. So we're looking through Experian, Equifax, a few little things, but not so in depth. We're not going so deep in reporting this type of information that it would affect your credit score. That's why hard credit pulls are not necessary in the beginning and usually are not throughout the whole sequence unless there's something that we have to see in that report that we just can't see at face value, then we'll have to go from there. So this is the questionnaire form that I'm sure many of you are like, oh, I've been through this. But if you have, stick with me. For those of you who have not, this is a questionnaire, not an application where you can get a personalized and customized email response from myself showing you your best funding option and options. Broken down in the numbers, getting you in the ballpark range, letting you know that even though I'm giving you this ballpark range, this can be adjusted due to daily deposits, bank balances, starting, ending, amount of deposits, etc. So it can be readjusted, but it's somewhat a ballpark range. Do not just take it at face value. So understand that to be very important. Even if you didn't have those numbers, everything you're getting is fine. As long as you know how much you can get approved for, and I give you examples of that a lot of the times. I show you different situations if you had a specific FICO credit score on what you could qualify for. And there's so much. You're welcome, Nicole. And so what this form here entails, first, your name, your email, your phone number, the funding amount requesting. So let me back up there. When I ask for the number, that is not to harass or heckle anyone. This is for purposes of after I send an email, I will usually follow up with you via text, letting you know that I sent that email. Go look for it. There are people today who could not find that email. I'm sure it is sitting in there. You just did not do enough searching, and I get it. Sometimes it's when you do the least amount of resistance, that's what you want. But sometimes you have to go look for it. If it's very important to you, you'll do what it takes to find it. So phone number is being asked for that specific purpose. Sometimes I call people right away because I'm like, I don't know what this file is. And if I sent an email, I'm not sure how long it'll take for them to reply back. And so that's mainly what it is asked for, to follow up with you. You have my personal number, so you can get a hold of me. Who would not want that? Let me ask you this. would you want to have my number on hand? So in case you just send me a text message, I can't get on the call. Send me a quick text message. Hi, Michael. Thank you for sending me this. And I did get a lot of that today. So I appreciate you. I just have not had the time to respond back. And those of you from yesterday, partially. So if you have that, I'm not going to be there sitting there like a babying you saying, hey, come get the loan. Hey, 25,000 available. Now, email follow-ups from time to time, I will send those just to keep you in the know, just to get you to understand that, hey, this is being processed or this has been processed, go refer here. But if you're not keeping up to date with any of that, it can be very, very difficult. And then you ask, a lot of people, not you, but a lot of people come back and they go, well, I did not find the email. You sent me a text. I did. And I'm like, even though you got a lot of text messages, it then becomes an excuse. And now we're like starting from an excuse point of view instead of being in a actionable, I know this happened, I come to accept it, how can we move forward point of view. That's what we need to do. Instead of focusing on reminiscing about what happened and reflecting on that, let's see what we can do right now to help you. Now, before I go back into the form, people who have offers right now, what happens if you wait too long? The lender's got to move their money. They're not waiting for you. They maybe give you up to a week or so. Hey, we've been trying to contact you. You haven't given us any feedback. That is not good, because if they see you go and apply to other places, they'll look at you and say, well, hey, this is this from this person from this company. Or it's a different company now with a different name, different owner applying. And I've seen people do that. You can't get away with that. They still see that in their system and they go, I'm not getting them an offer. You just passed up the best offer presented to you because, one, maybe you didn't like it, or it's just like, well, I probably can get something better here. When you're getting it from the best lenders, anywhere you've seen on TV, online, you're getting it from the best lenders. And if you think you're going to go somewhere else, and the thing is, I spoke to an individual last week, he hasn't spoken back to me. I'm not sure if he felt upset about what I said. I said it in a very good way, nothing bad. Maybe he's still looking into this. But given an offer for the amount of months they were given at the credit score that they had, I was questioning the company. I'm thinking, who are their lenders? I really want to get to know that. I probably won't tell you, but they're doing some mischievous activity just so that they can make money in their company. Boom. That's what you have to be careful about. And so not all places are created equally. You have to understand that. And then the offer, again, it can get off the table. Hey, we have Jim here, has been waiting for 5 days, no response, hasn't even shown us what he's wanting to do, or hasn't told us that he doesn't need the funds right now. He just wanted to apply to see what he could qualify for. Well, that would be better than telling us nothing. So whenever you don't tell anybody anything, myself, I don't have feedback, I'm like this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I know what I'm doing, but what is the individual going through? I don't know. Perhaps I could have helped them. But because you waited so long, I don't like the offer. I didn't like this. That's not what you do. That's probably the worst thing to do. And I'm here to help you. I really want you to improve your business. I want you to grow your profits, because I've done this for multiple businesses. Not only with funding, I've built people's marketing campaigns. I've built their advertising. I've done partially their sales component, although I'm not 100% the salesperson. Sounds good, Nicole. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you for contributing. Hopefully you got a lot of value. So what you have to understand is you got to get away from your ego. If that's what is getting in your way is your ego, we don't have time for egos. We got to start meditating. We got to start figuring out ways to control our thoughts, get the whole relaxing. And we got to get away from, hey, I didn't get the funding I needed here. I had an individual today, nicely enough, he or she did, I think, because I was applied with a male name and then a female name I got on the phone call with, and she told me that if this was her mother, and she filled out the app, didn't question too much there. But she or he went ahead and declined the offer that was presented to them, which is okay. I'm like, you didn't need that. That's not what you were looking for. However, try to go somewhere else to get a lump sum, or in a different part, they're going to get the same thing. And if they keep doing that, I'm sure they will, then they're not fixing the diagnosis. They're going at the symptoms. They're fixing the effects of things. instead of fixing the major cause of it, which is, hey, I need to build my FICO credit score. I need to improve my revenue, my time in business, business credibility. And funds, people saying that funds would do that, yes, but that's not primarily what you should be basing it off of. Yes, funds can help you get a new truck that would then increase your profits by 20x to 50x. But what are you doing before that? What can you do now to increase your revenue? Once you take a job, once you take a gig, perhaps do something different in your business. Maybe find the right customers. Maybe don't focus on low retention. Maybe focus on higher retention, returning customers, on the lifetime value of that customer. See, we just think ROI is, yeah, we get a load of people coming in, but we're not focused on the quality of that. In your business, focus on contracting bids, focus on the job you're getting, what that will then entail. Don't just take something just to take it. I get it. We need to make money. We need to put food on our table for our family. I have to do that as well. I get that. You know, I haven't had lunch yet. Have you guys? If so, what have you guys had for lunch? I'm probably going to go after this TikTok, and then I'm going to go and have maybe, I don't know what I'm going to make. Maybe a sandwich with some avocados. Got some fresh avocados. They're ripe. You can just almost melt through them. Put some ham, pepper jack cheese. But I'm trying to stay away from bread. I didn't get my exercise yesterday. And I'm the person speaking about, hey, you got to stay healthy. Guess what? Yesterday, literally, I was done with work at about 6 o'clock. And I didn't finish there. I came back to do a little bit more around 8:30 to 10 to fill out some questionnaires. And so after I got done with work, I went to my room, and then I went to go shower. And just before I got into the shower, I kid you not, my face just did this. And it did this because I realized I didn't even exercise. And so I was caught in two minds thinking, should I just turn off the shower, get into my workout clothes now, and then go on that walk and jog? So I weighed out the benefits, the pros and the cons of doing that. And then I said, I'm just right here. Let me just go shower. And the reason that happened is because of what? Our habits and our routines, more so the routine. So I built up a routine where by about 3 o'clock to about 4 or so, I would go and do this whole walk, jog, maybe do some weights, and then get in the shower and so forth, do what I got to go do in the evening. And then this time I get off of work at 6, so it didn't register. Like when I was going to get in the shower, I was like, oh, I forgot to exercise. I didn't go on my walk or my jog. This is not healthy for me. I have to go at least do that. I've been sitting down. But I said, hey, I'm just going to go. And there are times for that. So anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked on that and get on a different tangent. So back into this form so we can close up. I didn't think I'd be here for an hour, but we are. Thank you, guys. So finding amount requesting, time in business, please, please, please do not put the name of your business there. Put the amount of time. If it's 0, do it, but don't just leave it blank. That also leaves me questions. It could say 0 if you didn't, but I don't know. But if you put the name of your business and I go do a quick Google search and I try to find a Facebook profile, if I try to find your website, your DMB, etc., sometimes I'm not given that. And then even if I am, I can't find the time in business. What is that? I can't do anything with that. And so if I don't get the time in business, it does greatly impact how I can help. Because a number 5 is different than a number of 5 years, right? 5 can be what? 5 months or 5 years, 5 weeks, 5 days. Like just earlier, I had a lady who I had to say, I can't give you an answer. Please tell me your monthly revenue. I had a number. I had 3 numbers, 3 digits. I saw the monthly average, but that doesn't mean I can assume that she's doing what she's doing. Does she mean to put a K at the end of that? Does she I don't know. So I can't go and give her an answer. Now I wasted a little bit of time on that file because it didn't look proper. So make sure you have it as clean as possible. Specify if it is 5 years, 5 months, which one is it? And again, it's better to write something than to leave it blank. So I'm going to put this in the comment section right now. You guys should see it coming through, hopefully. If not, again, I'll put that in the description. So FICO credit score. I'm not a creditor. I'm not the person who's going to be like, I'm going to go report this, soft pull, hard pull, however. It's for me to see. That's it. It's confidential between you and I. And what this does is it factors in what you'll qualify for in our underwriting for specific products and services. It's not me. I'm not going to take it and go put it into an application. I cannot do that. I will never do that. I wouldn't live with myself if I did that to you. No matter how much I hated. No, I'm kidding. Don't hate anybody at all. But that's what it is there for. If you don't know the exact amount, give me a range, but precisely a number would be better than just a range. That's why I don't leave it like that. Like select one of these buttons. So do you have business credit established? That is very important in helping me determine on whether you're not, maybe an online banking solution can work. Does traditional banking work? If so, can we try something online if you have established business credit? Now, how much of that do you have? Maybe a SBA loan, some other type of unsecured term, secured term loan. But if you do not expect for you to go qualify for plenty of those services. Now, lowest monthly revenue in the last 3 months. So I've changed some of the wording here. Perhaps you submitted it before. So that's what I'm looking for. What is the lowest monthly revenue in your last 3 months? I could have asked 4 to 6 months, but I'm going to leave it at 3 months. And then after that, I'm asking you average monthly revenue. So I'm seeing the discrepancy, and this is a very telling sign to me of what people list. Use of funds, right? I see a lot of people who probably just select whatever they can. Just go through this and select the right one. Refinancing, consolidation debt, other real estate, purchasing equipment, payroll, inventory, working capital, factoring invoices, expansion, COVID relief, purchasing an existing business, and so forth. I've helped out in every single bits of these types of funding, and I've seen it all over and over again. Existing business loan advance. I had added this one just recently. I really want to know why. Let me move this over. Why am I asking for if you have an existing business loan or an advance? Because if I don't know, it's like I'm giving you something that is really, really unsure. Even if we haven't checked your bank statements, perhaps the tax return, etc. What I have to understand is, hey, if you already have a cash advance out there, this will cause a reduction. We can fund second to fourth positions. We can come into that, sometimes even more, but not for the most part. Those who do fund more, you have to question it, and you have to question how much you can actually really get. So don't be the individual who goes to get a loan here, and then they're going to go and apply here when they haven't even paid off 50% of that, or they haven't even gone through at least a week or two of it, and they're over here saying, well, I'm going to go and apply there. Maybe they can get me more. That won't work. What you got approved over here for, they will not in a lot of cases match it. It just doesn't happen. They'll get you less, far less in a lot of cases, because you already have an existing one and they see what you're trying to do, they see how much you've paid off of it. I can see that myself. And I speak to owners on a daily basis, whether it's a text message, it's an email, or it can be a phone call and so forth. So I hear it all the time, and then they go start an application and then they get like discouraged, and it's like, well, because I shared it with you, you just didn't read it, or you just didn't hear me. You wanted to hear what you wanted to. Sometimes you got to listen to what I say. It's not all about, this guy's just telling me something. No, I'm telling you what's accurate. Whether you want to or not hear it, it's going to benefit you now and in the future, so you don't make mistakes. You're not taking so much time to get business funding because now you know, because this guy here, as opposed to somebody else. I spoke to an individual the other day. They spoke to multiple agents, but I shared with them, did they actually show you this? Did they go through that with you? No, I wish I would have known. Well, I question who they are, not the business owner, the agents or the broker, because maybe they're not, one, educated enough, and then two, they don't understand how to handle the file. Okay. So that's what I want you to be aware of. Now, let me go quickly back into the forum and we'll close up shop here. Thank you guys for watching too. I appreciate each and every one of you. So business industry, business name, any additional notes. That's your moment to tell me exactly what your use of funds are for. If you just put expansion, I don't always know what that means. Like, what does that mean? And does it mean you're rate sensitive? Does it mean your expectation is to get something with 2 to 5 years? Purchasing an existing business is a different thing. But for expansion, that can mean a whole lot of things. Is it an inventory project where it's going to take a lot more time than 2+ years? Will you even qualify for that? I have to ask myself these things. And so I put them in the email if I don't get them here. So submit it and you're good to go. And how it works, submit a funding form for funding and then get a pre-approved for funding offer. But it's set in stone. It's not a pre-approved offer that you're like, well, this is what I get. No. Step 3, get approved and funded, and then you can see a video there of my weird face. So now let me show you guys very quickly. I'm going to try to go through this very fast. But first, Prince, why is TikTok so useful for you to use? Good question. For myself, personally speaking, I find it very useful to use because it, one, not only helps me give you and everyone else as much value as possible and education, even though it is in bite-sized pieces and you don't get everything like you can with a live here, for example, or in my other videos, blog posts, and other social media stuff related and so forth. So it's very helpful on that aspect. And that's how I approach the app every single day if I use it for those purposes. I don't just use it to go and find funny videos of girls shaking her butt or some guy picking his nose or showing us, I don't know, through the woods of how he's finding some ghosts. Sure, that's entertainment for other times, but I still don't even do that. I found like my brain, how much I put my brain together lately and what I've been doing for the past years, it just, I can't wrap my head around that stuff. It just makes me feel so much more lazier, even on downtime. There are moments. But aside from that, it's because as a business owner, you have to go where there is a congregation. The meaning of congregation goes far back as churches. And in the medieval times, and just how people got together for parties and understanding that there is a central market or a location per se where people would gather, they would assimilate with those people within that group. And they find that identity. They use the skill sets that attract them to that group of people, and that's who they will identify with. It's similar to when you were in school, perhaps high school. We take it far back. That's so long ago. And no, I'm kidding. I'm 18 years old. No, I'm joking. But what happens is you find for lunch, for example, you go to the cafeteria, you know where your group of people are congregating. I was that individual in school who, one, academically was the focus, but then two, I would be able to get along with anyone. So I got along with just about any group you can think about. I got along with the older demographic. So grades higher than me. So if I was like in 9th grade, I got along with the 10th, 11th, 12th graders a lot more usually than I did with the 9th grade. And it could probably be the reason because in 3rd grade, I'll share with you guys, this was me back in 3rd grade. I got held back. And I don't really share that at all with nobody except my family. And then the closest my friends, maybe, but still don't open up about that. And it was just a learning experience. 3rd grade, here's this kid who can't even sing you know how they make you sing, not the national anthem, but like I had this class where they had to have you sing the lyrics to our nation's songs, and I didn't get them word for word. And then some of the math, I wasn't plugged in. So I was that student, and it was a little bit challenging for me, but it was never because I wasn't good at academics, because I got very good thereafter. My goodness, it's a learned skill. It's not something you just inherit or grow up with. So you could be living in a family that's rich, poor, middle class. I grew up in the middle class. So TikTok, not to go too far away from that, it's a congregation. You find the identity, but you also understand your target market. You understand where your ideal customer is hanging out. So the market is not always the individual. The market is that social media app, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, etc. And that's why it has become so useful. Not entirely because of the trends. Sure, that can help, but it's because I ask myself, are people who need help getting business funding, building business credit, FICO credit score improvement, fixes, credit repair, credit monitoring, etc. Affiliate marketing, because I have a great amount of experience in that, and I haven't released that here lately if you're here for that. But I have a great amount of experience in all these different businesses. And so I understand I'm an entrepreneur, and that's the cap we have to put on, right? We're business owners. And I'm sure you probably put your information in the yellow pages, Kelly Blue Book, all this kind of stuff that we're going through, and Yelp, and we're probably getting referrals. But you have to understand how that works. If you don't truly understand the veins of how you're getting customers, that is my job nowadays. Well, a lot of everything, because I wear multiple hats. So I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing this, that's why a lot of my morning is predicated on doing that. And so you have to understand the veins of your business, just like the veins of your body. If you can't find the vein right here, you question that. And sometimes it's just, you can't find it. There's specific reasons. But you have to understand, where is this one vein leading me to? How about this one? Oh, this one right here, look, if I'm looking at it, it's converging with this one, not diverging. It did right here, but then it just converged. So I'm understanding where my ideal dream customers are hanging out. And so that's what you should be doing as a business owner. And this is what I help multiple businesses do, especially when they come through me and get business funding, because I will give you marketing material. I will give you advertising material. I'll show you everything that you have not been seen to be given. And this stuff I don't usually charge for. It's given as a bonus. And this is like thousands and thousands of dollars worth out of my experience and what I've come to know in masterminds, and what I've learned as well from other people before me in certain areas. So I understand the digital landscape very, very well. And that's because why? Like, you guys understand your business, you understand the industry, but you got to understand more than just the industry. You got to really understand and plug in as being that entrepreneur, even if you don't think or see yourself as one. You really have to sit down and think about these things, like where, okay, like I helped out a courier company not too long ago, and I worked with one of some time ago, a long time ago, and I was doing the budgeting, analyzing their customers, who was bringing in the most, the retention, allocating their inventory here. I dealt with their inventory and did a lot of other things with other businesses. So I understood that this customer was bringing you this amount. This customer was doing this on this side. They were only doing it 5 days a week. And as opposed to another customer over here who would only request your help for about 2 to 3 times, but they would supply you with more income. So if I could double down on somebody who's bringing me that, if that's the focus, then I'm going to go out there and find more people in that specific demographic or that psychographic. So what you guys a lot of the time go through as a business owner, I'm doing it on my end. So don't just think that I'm over here sitting like a duck trying to make phone call after phone call. You're dealing with somebody who's legitimate. And so this is why my energy and my time, it's very, very like this. And if you're not punctual about it, like not necessarily will I ignore you, but you will get left behind. You can always come back, but hey, my peripherals, I'm moving down this highway, cars are moving, I'm helping out this individual, I'm getting off the off-ramp. I gotta go. Boom. And then I gotta go get some food. And then I gotta go get on the highway again. That's how we gotta go. So let's go back to this form so I can show you guys. And if you guys are getting value out of this, please. Oh, nice. So I just got a Facebook update because I just updated an ad. So in case you guys see me with an ad out there, so that'll be on Facebook. I wanted to test something. I didn't really want to publish, but just wanted to see what it looks like. So now let me get back into the screen and show you guys what it looks like on this when I fill it out. So I'm just going to quickly go through the automation here. So I already have a few things. You guys already probably know my number. Okay, somebody's going to look at that. I don't want anybody being like, hey, I got his number, I'm going to go spam him. All right, it's the reciprocation that if I am this way with you, I hopefully get to reciprocate that back from you, and I can feel that. No, I do not have a 455. This is not real information. Just for fun. 1 billion. Yeah, that's what I do. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna. I would never tell somebody anyways what I'm doing. I'm just not. I've never been like that. So purchasing an existing business, just leave it at that. And then existing business loan advance, we'll say yes. And then business industry, we'll say food service, perhaps. Business name. Now we'll just leave it like blank. V for Vendetta. No. Okay. Any additional notes that I would like to share? And again, this is your part right now to inform me on what expansion projects you have going on. Be open about it. I have individuals who tell me that all the time. Hey, Michael, I'm going to use my funds for inventory that I'm going to be getting a huge warehouse coming soon, and I need to use those funds for inventory. I'm also going to be using them for marketing and advertising. That's more short term. But the inventory project with this new warehouse that I have that we're actually building a new facility under as well and so forth, that looks like I'm going to need 2+ years. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the details and see if that aligns. If not, then we could probably try to fit you within a shorter term loan, and then we can readjust. So see how I'm going along with all this? See how it works? Now let me come back to the share screen, and I'm going to close up here. I want to show you guys what it looks like when you submit this. So submitting this, right there very quickly. Hopefully it goes through. I know I had to make some changes recently because it wasn't. So if you see this custom fields must contain message, like it just appeared right now on the screen, please ignore that. As long as you see this, it's gone through. The reason that shows, there's just some technical difficulties that I'm sorting out with my autoresponder support team as well as my theme provider plugin. And they're underneath it and they're looking at it from a coding perspective. So it's been like that for some time. It went on and it came off, and it's just okay. I get it. It's a hassle sometimes to see that, and you keep coming back and trying to resubmit the application because it showed you that. But as long as you're getting a page like this or similar, you're in the know. So right here, it says your follow-up email is okay. So you're all set. We've received your information, or I should say, I've received it. Your follow-up emails being emailed you over by my name, in parentheses. Also, I'll highly likely be sending you another email in response to your details submitted. Please look in all folders if necessary. That meaning inbox, but also not exclusive to spam, junk box, promotions tab, social main inbox, use the search feature, etc. Sometimes these emails, they land in the spam at the beginning. And it shouldn't probably be doing that a lot now. But, okay, so choose your preferred loan type. This is what you can do in the meantime. So I may just upgrade these options. I may put a little bit more. I may take some away. I may change the look of the site. Maybe split test something here. But for the most part, this is what you'll see. And I'm going to do some additional things to the startup funding if you don't qualify. I'm going to try to put a video there for a different purpose. So if this right here, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a new button soon that says startup funding. I think it maybe falls here in the middle. So it's not like you got to go to these right away. So you go to the startup funding one and you get to see a video, or you get to go to a certain page. It'll be very helpful. But if you haven't, it's okay. So working capital, cash advance, get a lump sum at once. Purchasing an existing business, capital, get a lump sum at once. Or there's another way to look at that. It's not only a lump sum. Business lines of credit, withdraw the funds whenever you need to. I know a lot of people today were doing that one, but not a lot of them qualified for it. Equipment financing / leasing, not sure, and there could be more options on there. Okay, there could be a ton more, and I didn't want to put too many options to confuse you, or just because I didn't want to fill up the whole page of that. But I may add some more because it's looking like it's flowing just fine. So now let me come back to this. So whenever you click something here, let's say working capital advance, it could be a business loan / advance. So I'm sure some of you have already done this, but it'll come to a page like this, something similar, maybe changed in the future, but there will be a quick message from me here. You'll get to learn a little bit about myself underneath that video, and then you'll get some pointers on how you can get this funding and what that funding entails and what I had to go through in a nutshell. So over here, you can watch the video. It is what I recommend just for a quick instruction, and then you can click the button once you're ready. So it doesn't open. I may do this again where it opens up a new tab while you're watching the video. But what it'll then do, and this is all the stuff that I created myself through my digital marketing background, guys. So if you guys need help getting an understanding of how to market yourself better, feel free. I'm not one of those marketers who's just selling you fluff. I literally enjoy what I'm doing, like with business funding is like the focus. And it's not all about, I get marketing is helpful, but I really care about making sure that all my facts, everything that I have and I bring to you is correct. I'm not just like, hey, you get 250,000 in business funding that's applied to it. And there's this person that behind the screen who's like, yeah, and then they just talk so fast and they ramble sometimes. And I know what I'm saying before I say it. Like I'm hearing it in my brain. And so that's partially it. But the other one is, hey, I really understand my facts. I'm an expert in this. So I just had added what I had in the past to what I'm doing now. See how that helps? And so let me get back on the share screen. Oh, wait a minute. So I think there's a cache issue on this. So this is where some run-ins come in. Yeah, hold on, let me see if this loads. I do not know why this page is appearing the way it is on your screen. I'm sure if you've gone through here, it does not appear that way. So I do apologize for that. It does happen from time to time because there's a plugin problem or a plugin error. But what will happen is I'll go and fix this, but you'll watch a video and it'll show you what to expect, what are the requirements, the qualifications, but then you can click a button there. Good thing I see this. Hold on, let me see. Now I shouldn't be doing that part. Okay. So what happens is once you click through that button, and let me go very quickly. I can go and edit it and see what the issues are. But I won't do that up in this video. So what you would do is you could click a button there, or you can click a link, and there's more information. Perhaps there's some underneath the video, or if it's not a video, and you can go from there. So now let me move this over. So yeah, I'll investigate that later. I'm glad I saw that. Sometimes this stuff happens. Something in the website just goes funky. I know yesterday I was moving some things. I had to clear the cache, delete some cache, and then these issues arise. So now that I see it, I'm immediately going to go ahead and take care of this. It does become sometimes a hassle, but it's part of the whole experience. Yeah, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, understanding how your business functions. But yeah, just to recap this video, we went over business funding 101, understanding that, at the very top here, 1099, that coming out soon, the type of service. So be on the lookout for it. I'll be updating you guys over time. The funding amount, the determination of it, the daily deposits, daily balances, the withdrawals, all these transactions, starting, ending bank balances, and more factors in to what we can actually get you. Sure, 60,000 per month and your cash flow looks good. Revenue looks phenomenal. Like you're just staying there consistently. I mean, you're on an increase. Nice. And we also say, okay, well, what do the deposits look like? Oh, he's only depositing it like 2 big chunks of 30,000 a month. What if he loses something over here, a customer? What if something goes wrong? Now what? You only have 30,000 in revenue? So that's a big eye-opening thing for us to look at. And I have to look at all that stuff too. And so all this said and done, understand that we take a lot of things into consideration. The FICO credit score, 500 can be if you're doing 15,000, usually 20,000 and above, or 550 and above if you have 5,000 but less than 15K. 450 and above can work. It has to be strong, but it's really going to be less of a factor now. 550 is what you should be shooting for. Having lower than good credit, like we're talking about less than 600, it's really difficult because you may get a decent offer, you may not have gotten everything you wanted, but I hear it every single day, and I don't want to as much. Like some of it I do, but not like the external stuff, the extra additional stuff. That, well, I should have gotten this. I should have got, my goodness. And I go, well, I explained to you that how this works. And so politely, if this isn't going to work, then just make sure you go and decline it. Well, I got to pay an extra 4,000, 5,000. And I hear it so much. And so what I want you guys to make sure you guys do when you guys are done here, if this is your situation, go and improve it. Go fix it, please. And I have video content on that. Make sure you go and look for that. I'll try to leave it in the description. But it does a whole good. If we're 600 and above, revenue is just, it's there. Then what has to be looked at is, okay, can we give you better terms? So anything usually below a 600 FICO, usually you're looking at about 6-month terms. That's it. And that may be enough. You'll be like, yeah, revenue's fine, cash flow is good. I just need it because I need it for marketing and advertising and inventory. I'm going to keep my bottom line. Perfect. So that's some stuff to be aware of. And then let me go over here. So the SBA idle amount, be very aware of that survival money versus private lender money is survival. Yes, survival here too. But once you go to private lenders, you're expecting more of an expensive route. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means, do you really understand why you're getting funding, what type of funds, the impact it will do to your business? Maybe it's your personal life that it will impact as well, or only. And a lot of people, they don't. A lot of people go, well, I know there's a lot of money out there and I know I can use it. And they see something in their business and they go, oh, inventory is running low and I, would like to get the funds for this. And then a month goes by and then they have so much inventory on hand that none of it is selling, or something's happening in the business. And now you can't make the payments. You go into collections, you go into problems because you only had 6 months to pay it back. And if you're in that situation, it's one, because of the credit, other parts of the details, but then two, it's also because you didn't fully understand why you were taking the funding. And I would never tell you to take funds if it's going to impact your business on a severe level. So for some reason I have another tab open here and this page is taking forever to open. Okay. Let me exit out of this one over here and then just leave this one open. You guys can't see that. So survival and then survival, but understand the percentage of how much you're using with private money lenders that's going to it. And if it's 100% of it, really understand your business, like cash flow wise, deposits and so forth. And then grant solutions, I gave out a few names. I'll leave more information of that in the description down below. Startup funding, I'll leave some options there. Just know that there is no true startup business funding. The 1099 side of the equation will actually really much help. So I can't wait for that to come out. And then I showed you guys a little walkthrough of the questionnaire that I put for you guys in the comments, or I'll have that in the description as well. And so the thing is, Prince, it's not like we always get the most updated version of it. There's a system that the lenders will use too to determine what your actual score is. So there's a scale that they use. So if you had let's say 700 plus on the dot FICO, it may look to them like you have a 670 because of some of the things that they look at in payment history. But you have things like Experian, My FICO. Some of these are sufficient enough, maybe not Credit Karma, but you have some of these services where you can get a better understanding of your FICO, more importantly, than just checking your credits. And so getting those reports, another one perhaps you can look through this is more on the business credit side, but NAV does well on that, where you can get reports on your credit. So that's one that I educate people on as well. So if you guys have gone through my business credit building video series, perhaps I had a little mention, perhaps I did not. But if you further progress through all of that, you'll hear more about it. So that's what I want to say to that. Now, on an ending tip, and then I'll get going. The battle from the Navy to the Army. Understand the history of your industry. Understand the history of where you come from. Not only in a personal sense, but a business matter. Sure, you may have started this business 7 years ago, but sometimes you got to look back to where you were year one to really humble yourself before you even had a business, and understand the place you are in today and what decisions you must take. So we have to look back at our history. That's why history, if you didn't think about this, and I never really thought about it, like, why do history teachers become history teachers? Why do we even learn that? Because history tells a story. History inspires. History has created what we can have today. History through stories help us remember things more easily than telling us something like numbers, or there's no story behind that. So hopefully I'll come out with more of that stuff soon. I've really been going back. I read the whole book and all the books with Robert Greene. But I like reading it from time to time. I even go back to the same book and I'll read it. So that'll conclude everything from me. Thank you all for being here. I know we spent a good amount of time, maybe too much time. Catch me over on TikTok. I may take a short break, go in there, probably recap on a few things, give you guys some extra bonus tips and so forth. And if you have not gotten business funding yet, please refer to the description down below, fill out that questionnaire. And again, I showed you that you fill out that questionnaire form, takes you right to the thank you page. I literally had a lot of people today, over 20 people today, go start an application. Others did not because maybe you're not sure, but you can go get started right away. You don't have to wait for me. I don't have to ask for bank statements. Not in all cases. Sometimes it can be uploaded and I might check it then. Sometimes I may not. So that's what you should be trying to do, and always educating yourself and not wasting time, not waiting to get on the phone call with someone. That's why this questionnaire form is there. So I can send you that email response, and it cuts the whole conversation on a phone call. And I get a phone call is useful. There are times when it is needed. An individual not too long ago just said, "Hey, I have all your information. I saw your email," which I heard, and I'm like, good, because then I don't have to start from scratch and then say, go to that email. I'll just say, go to the email and refer to what I left you there. They just wanted to hear my voice. And turned out that individual was one of my favorite people. We talked a lot about personal things and just spoke about, business owners, entrepreneurs, the way we think. And he gave me a lot of insights. And if you're in here watching, I appreciate you. You know who you are. Many people have already as well, but an older gentleman just told me how it is. Owns multiple businesses, doing very well financially. And he told me why people lack awareness, why they don't have patience, why they don't take the time to fill something out and understand and read thoroughly, and just so much more. So that is everything from me. Thank you all. Talk to you all soon.